Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and we're back to the basics. And before I begin, I do want to wish everybody a happy Earth Day. It is Earth Day, but we are definitely not being, friendly to the Earth today because we're probably consuming a little too much electricity because I purposely turned on all the lights in my basement, in order to celebrate this fine Earth Day. But beyond that, and before I introduce Rob as my guest, I do want to remind everybody that my sponsor is Pocket Jack Comics. And they have books like Palace of the Golden Princess and White Lily, which are currently being distributed by Filbo Distributions. So go check out their stuff. If you have a comic shop, go order from them, do all that stuff. Check out what they do because both those people are great people and there's some cool stuff. But enough about that because as I stated and kind of tip my hat off, I have Rob Multari here. So welcome to the show, man.
No, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, no, I'm always happy to have you on. And obviously, you got a lot going on. You got Snowpaw Volume 1, the graphic novel, the trade paperback. I'm not exactly sure the hardcover graphic novel. I'm not exactly sure how we define these things, but it is the first four issues, or the first paw issues, as I like to call them. I've been wanting to use that joke for a while.
You've been sitting on it, haven't you?
I have been sitting on it for a while. Yes, I have. But, but I have no problem admitting that. I have no problem admitting that. But before we get into this entire graphic novel, the story, the whole Kickstarter world, why don't you quickly introduce who you are? Because some people know you, some people do not know you, and the quick introduction.
Yeah, so I'm Rob Multari. I am the creator and writer of Snowball in the series Nightwolf. I am basically the founder, and I am Lone Wolf Comics. You can find me at Lone Wolf Comics on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You also at Rob Multari on the same three, lonewolfcomics.com. And snowpod.lonewolfcomics.com will take you directly to the very long, arduous Kickstarter link.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Kickstarter because obviously, as I kind of stated, it is the first four issues of Snowpaw. I think it's the first arc. I think that's a safe assumption here.
Yep, the complete first story arc.
And so, obviously, I mean, what is the basic premise before we get into it? Because it's the predecessor to Nightwolf to some degree, but it's also separate. I don't know how to explain that, right?
So essentially, Snowpaw is Nightwolf's mentor in his story in the modern time. But this story takes place 200 years in the past, which is basically Snowpaw's origin story. And you don't have to read them one or the other in any kind of order because, I mean, the stories are completely different. It's just a matter of that, like, in time frame, like this is first and then Nightwolf comes next. So, if you want to go chronologically, kind of like, some people will go back and watch, the original, or they'll go watch the Star Wars prequels and just to kind of do chronological order and all that, if you will. But yeah, so the story is about a young woman who is born on a farm in the Scottish Highlands in the 19th century. The farm is failing, and her father betroths her to a rich man's son in order to save the family farm. And during the engagement party, she is noticed by a high-class werewolf who follows her back to her family farm and attacks the family, which triggers her first transformation. Because she is, like Nightwolf, is born a werewolf and does not know that.
Awesome. So I want to dive into this a little bit because obviously this is her story and it's her figuring out her life and figuring out this new, I guess, discovered power and dealing with the enemy, which is the Dark Covenant, right? I mean, I'm getting to the heart of the matter here, and then she kind of has a mentor, and it's them dealing with this problem in Europe or attempting to, and we got Training Day all over again somewhere in this book or these books. And it's got similarities to Nightwolf to some degree, but I think she's a little bit smarter than Rodney. I think she's a little bit smarter and a little bit more educated.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the girls tend to be a little smarter than us guys, right? They're a little more.
There's that scene in Yellowstone where John Dutton says to Summer, women are smarter than men. I was just comparing you to your peers, right? Says, I am a smart person. John Dutton says you're a smart woman, and he says, no. I was just comparing you to your peers because women are smarter than men, and it's a very funny scene, right? Because in case anybody didn't know, I'm in the middle of watching Yellowstone, so
I think I got to the last season, like Costner was in, and then after that, my wife and I kind of let it slide.
I love it. I love like because it's a neo western, right? I mean it's not full blown western, but I just like how they deal with problems.
You get that modern cowboy thing going.
And I mean I just like Montana. Makes fun to buy a farm there or in Oklahoma, one or the other. But I digress. I digress. But because I want to talk about the book a little bit because before we get into the juicy stuff, because there's people who don't know the story or they
Mhm.
might have fallen off or on or whatever it is. So obviously there's all that going on here, and they're dealing with this threat, right? That's now been around for 200 plus years.
I mean, it's longer than that. I mean, but yeah, it's hey, good and evil has been around forever, right? So
Because the reason why I bring this up is that, and I think it's interesting, is that it's very similar to Nightwolf, but it's also very different because we don't have modern technology. We
Mhm.
don't have today's age, but the threat still exists. The fact that she is discovering her power and is the student is very similar to Rodney's situation.
Mhm.
But it's also that I find her to be, I don't want to say aristocratic, but definitely more mattered might be a better way. I more like I get more of a spy sense and more of an alert sense. First thing, like Rodney is the football star. Like I don't know how to explain. It's a different vibe of a book, right? And I don't know how to like. I'm not doing this very well this interview at the moment. Explain this,
I
but
mean,
like
okay, so well, you kind of nailed it as far as like Nightwolf being like this football star who's got a silver spoon to start off with, right? So he's in a better off situation and spoiled, right? Completely spoiled, like most kids these days, right? So they've never had hardship. The hardest thing he's ever had to do prior to this thing that's happened to him was like football practice, right? And with her, she actually she's growing up on a farm in the 19th century with no technology, so everything had to be done by hand or like you know or hand driven manual thing because there's no vehicles to like you have horses pulling stuff or you're doing everything by hand. So she's grown up on this poor farm doing a lot of work, so she's a very strong girl to begin with because like her and her family have to do all the farm work, right? And then and she also has this natural instinct that you see more so in her story in the first few pages, that something that you don't really see Rodney have in Nightwolf, because again, that old spoiled not having to test his metal situation, right? Yeah, so he might be like real physically better than a lot of people why he's a football star, but it's not like he's got that animal instinct that's really attuned like hers.
because the reason why I bring this up is that the book has a different vibe to it, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know how to explain the vibe, and I don't know how to explain it beyond the fact that like there is, I wouldn't say there's a struggle, but like there's definitely more grit to it, and there's more of that in this versus Nightwolf. And nothing wrong with either one of those books. I mean, obviously you wrote them, and I would tell you if there's something wrong with your books. Don't worry, I'll be more than happy to tell you if there's something wrong with your books. But like it's interesting to me because I think that's the appeal of Snowpaw to some degree is that we know some of the rules of this world. We're now starting to get an origin story, but like that's where I think this story becomes interesting is that we're now getting a much more, I guess, touching earth story, if that makes
Mhm.
any sense.
Yeah.
And so like and it's also interesting because it's from a female position. I hate to use male females, but men and women are different. They
Well,
just are.
I mean, that is. I mean, I wrote, obviously, Nightwolf from being a male and a teenager. A lot of my personal perspective was put into that book, right? When I was writing Snowpaw, it was okay. Now I have to take it from a female's perspective, and that's why a lot of my team members are female. Like, so the artist, the editor, the colorist, So I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was correct, and I'm the youngest of three, and I have two older sisters. So, and like between like my mother and my sisters, I know a lot of how they would act, how they think, but I kind of have to also would take watching TV series like Outlander and other things, like, and watching like Disney's Brave, like these things that, like, I purposely put myself to watch to make sure that this was the kind of like the character, how she would act, how, like, in that kind of a perspective. So, and I also push myself out of a lot of comfort zones. Like, yes, there's the general, this is the new, lycanthrope for this year. She's asked to obviously be trained by the previous one, and all that. Like, there's kind of like a structure, but their experiences are completely different in that sense, because like their transformation is going to be different. The reason for the transformation is going to be different. Like their surroundings are completely different. I mean, one's 19th century Scotland, the other one is modern day Western Pennsylvania. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, I pushed myself to write a lot of things, and I purposely was like, okay, I did this in Night Wolf. I can't do this here. For example, I didn't have any vampires in this story. That was purpose. I made sure that there were no vampires. This is more of a fantasy, and that we could also show that the werewolf could actually be the main villain on top, not just a vampire has to be the head of the Dark Covenant. You know what I mean?
So let's actually talk about this, because this is where this gets interesting, right? Because I love structure, and as a TV watcher and an anime guy, there's certain things that have a certain structure, like a shonen has a certain structure, right?
Mhm.
So like a sports anime shonen, I expect A, B, C, D, and E to be in there, right? What I want is I want F, G, and Z, and H, or whatever number or letter we're going to use this to be the mixture, because wow, I can't speak. Familiar things, right? So,
Right.
hey, words are hard sometimes. It's been a long day for me.
No, I get it,
What's
man. It's late. It's late.
for familiar things, though, because that's the reason why we get this whole hooked into it, because we say, okay, I get certain aspects and I get certain things that are familiar, but then you need the twist, and that's where I think this gets interesting, right?
Mhm.
Because I think that's the thing that then figuring out the balance. Do we just need one thing familiar, or do we need 10 things familiar? And even when I have a conversation with somebody, there are touch points, right? I forget how many touch points a person has, right? Or thought points, or whatever we're going to call them. But the more you have in common, the easier it is to have a conversation, the easier it is to connect with somebody by definition. So if you have the same sports teams and you read the same books and you have an idea of the same television shows, but you differ on, what your favorite food is, you're probably going to have an easier time if you differ on all 4 points.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what I think is so interesting, right? Because the twist here is that the main villain is another werewolf, and now, who's the werewolf who's betraying their kind? And you get that whole discussion point in there too, and fascinating, right? But that's what I find interesting, right?
Well, I mean, essentially, there's good and there's bad. I mean, that's how I've always established these particular breeds specifically, because they are an outcast breed amongst the kind of pagan werewolves. Because they both have kind of, in the way I set up the lore, is that these werewolves either made a deal with the Seraphim or the Fallen, which are basically angels or demons, and that's how the Dark Covenants really kind of come to be. Is the Dark Covenant serves under the Fallen, Lucifer, and that's essentially what the Dark Covenant is. There, he's like, I will put you in power, give you what you wish, as long as you serve me, kind of a situation. You know what I mean? And so, if anybody really could make that deal, if it was sweet enough for the purposes, um, and if you're strong enough to maintain that seat of power, because it there does become some vacuums that happen at certain points in the timeline that I will not be specific about. But when that vacuum opens, a lot of shit hits the fan. um,
No, I get it. I get it. So again, there's a lot of stuff going on and dealing with this, and then even the idea that at some point, I mean, whether Snowball is successful or not, I don't think it's happened yet in this, book, because you're only on your first arc. But there's going to be a point where her and her mentor are going to damage or attempt to damage pieces of the Dark Covenant, and well, the vacuum could happen. If you kill the top guy, there's going to be a fight for who's the next top guy. I mean, it's just by logical order. I mean, unless that's not how it works, but I think that's how it works, right?
I mean, just like any vacuum within a power struggle, there's always going to be casualties.
If you kill the top guy, or the top guy gets removed, and then there's 3 or 4 lieutenants underneath him who they're all gonna fight for who's the next top guy, unless they all have a council and they're playing cards, and then somebody wins the card game. But anyway, not the point here. I don't want to ruin too much, but because I want to get into the actual Kickstarter. That's the part that's actually interesting, is that it's a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, graphic novels and floppies are not the same. They have different parameters. They have different requirements on how they fund. They also tend to attract, for the most part, unless I'm wrong here, different audiences, I think. Because there's people who say, I just want a floppy. Mm-hmm. There's people who say, I just want the graphic novel. And I remember speaking to Paul Levitz about this, and what he was explaining is that some of these young kids, their first comics are not floppies, but they're graphic novels.
Right.
So they'll come up to him at a con, like, yeah, I read your stuff in a graphic novel format. And he doesn't have a problem with, signing a graphic novel. It doesn't make a difference on that. But like, what is that like? Because I don't know what your audience is exactly. I don't know if it's repeat customers. I don't know if it's new customers. I don't know if it's a mixture of the two. But I do think there is something to be said that there is a division sometimes where people are floppy readers or they're graphic novel readers, because they target different audiences by nature.
So I have a mixture. So right now, like, I was looking at the stats, and I have have another audience who collected it now coming in. So watching this,
right? Killed, and then maybe about a month to watch. Don't maybe some people complete it. 6
series, and then they didn't.
Horrible idea.
We're still kind of up in the
Netflix things in the last.
Yeah,
in a collection.
Like the people who one, the people off the platform. The other is if you feel like you've been burnt, yes, we've all been burnt. I've been burnt. There's several comics that I haven't gotten that I've backed, and I've backed over 1,000 campaigns, but I've gotten probably 99% of those campaigns, fulfilled to me. So yes, are there the bad players out there? Yes. Are some of them people with names? Yes. But like in general, I think if you are nervous about backing somebody, maybe instead of just throwing Kickstarter out the window completely or crowdfunding in general, right? Maybe look at the track record. Obviously, if for example, with Nightwolf, I've had 11 campaigns. Well, for 11 issues. And then I've had the 2 trades, you know what I mean? So like obviously I'm fulfilling and people are coming back, right? And they commenting on my thing saying how much they can't wait. And I get people commenting on my platform or on my page saying, I got the book. It's great. You know what I mean? Those are the campaigns when people are saying that. Those are the ones you back.
This is where I've been burned, right? And this is why I bring the question up is that I've had people who have done like 40 campaigns and they've burned and they've burned people on 2 or 3 of those and they're still producing and they've been late and there's like no calling out of it, right? And so this is why I have a real issue because while you're doing a great job, there's plenty of people where they have a mixture on their platform on Kickstarter where I would say 5 of their projects are delayed, no updates, no anything. But then the other 5 people are like, this is a great book. And it's such a weird experience for me because, and this hasn't just happened with one person. I've had it happen to other people have shown me with other people. And so like, this is why I've actually pulled back because I'm like, there's something funky going on here. And it's people who are raising like $200,000-$300,000 across a bunch of different projects. And I'm like, this is so odd. And so like, this is where trust becomes very complicated for me with this because it's not a creative problem anymore. For me, it's the idea that it's not even a good idea anymore or bad ideas or any of that. It's also like this. And then there's also the other thing I think is fascinating is that like, is this story even going to be good? I mean, I wouldn't even like, I would say half the stuff that I backed, and granted, I've only backed like 130 campaigns. I would say half of them were not great stories, to be honest. And I said, I just spent $25 for what the fuck? Like, and you know what is that's not a good feeling either.
No, yeah. I mean, okay, so that's something when you have somebody who's putting out that much that quickly and then is only like fulfilling half, that's sketchy as get out. So like that's something that people need to call out, so that other people can know, right? So it like this can't like that's something that like, people who just ignore it, just let it go on. Well, don't ignore it, call it out so then that people can see it on the other campaigns, right? The other thing about that is yeah, if there's a story that's garbage but the art is great, or let's say the covers are great and then you go back and back another one before you've read the book, I mean,
that's a problem too. That's a problem too. That's a whole different problem in which that it's the idea is there's nothing wrong with art. I love art. I'm sure you love art too, right?
Yeah, but I'm also in it for the story. I go for.
Let me finish the question.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So there's a position of art where if you love a cover or you love art, you should just buy it as a painting or as an art print, right? So there's nothing wrong with saying I love. Well, we'll use one of your covers, Courtney Damrose, right? I love Courtney's artwork, right? No offense to your book, but I would rather have that as an art print or like on like I don't know what like a wooden like panel thing, and I'd rather hang that up on my wall as like a
Well,
poster.
I did have on that campaign, I had art prints, and I still do have 11 by 17. So if you're interested, I have some.
You understand where I'm going with this, though,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
I would rather look at that and hang it up and display it versus buying that comic cover, putting it in a long box,
Which
and
makes
while
sense. I totally agree. Like, if you're gonna get the art, get the print.
and so like that's how I feel, right?
Well,
So
that
like
and the profit margin on a print is ridiculous compared to a comic.
I don't know. I don't deal with printing
Well,
issues. It's not.
just as an example, all right. So people who print out prints, right? They cost like what 40 cents per print if they get a decent amount of prints, and they charge $15 plus, right? That's a great profit margin. However, comic books cost $5,000 plus to produce, then another 3 or 4 to print, and then you only can buy it between like 5 and let's say 25, $30. Where's the profit margin there? I'm just saying, like, if you want to buy a print, by all means, buy a print. You're helping the artist and creator better than buying the comic.
My point though is that that's where cover art is an issue, right? Because if you're buying books for the cover, I'm not one to dismiss anybody from doing anything in business. And
Mhm.
look, it's your money, and we live in America, so I don't know if it's freedom as much as you have a free choice to do it. And that's a whole different political
Yeah.
philosophy debate.
Well, I think the comic creators do it because they want to tell a story and they want to get it out there. Me, that's me. I want my stories to be told. Yes, does it cost money? Sure, but am I doing it?
I meant the sexy bad girl cover art stuff.
No,
That's
I
what
mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a different. That's a whole different story.
that's what I was referring to. I wasn't referring to writing comics. I was referring to somebody as a customer wants to buy a bad girl cover for $200. Be my guest. I'm not one to tell you, but again, how many times you take that book out of your long box and look at it versus you're hanging up an art print on your wall and you see it every day? I'm just saying, one of those things gets more eyes on it than the other. But
Well,
you know,
unless they put it in like a frame and put it up on the wall and never look in the inside.
you can do that too. You can do that too. That's
Yeah,
completely again. I'm not one to judge anybody and tell anybody how to spend their money, right? Be my guest how you spend your money. My point that I was making is that the cover issue though is a real issue because there are people who just buy it and don't read the story, and
mhm.
it raises questions. I think about because I get why everybody does it. Because if you have a limited 50, you could sell that variant for more money. It helps to fund your Kickstarter. And the idea is that it gets eyes and it's hook story offer in
Mhm.
some form, some component. I mean, we could get into the whole discussion about hook story offer or offer story hook or however you want to assemble it. There is no right order to that. But I get why it's done, right? Because well, if you're doing as you just stated, a $5,000 book. You got to print the motherfucker. Yeah, you need some high end products
But
to.
that's not even including paying for cover art. Like that was just for production of the regular issue. That's not even variant covers. Variant covers range anywhere from 150 to 1,000 plus, depending on.
You could go all the way up to five very
That's
quickly.
what I'm saying. I mean, that's like so that's more on top of like the more variants you do, the more money you're dishing out, and the bigger the name, the bigger the dollar sign, and
No, no, no,
hoping
no.
that you make that money back.
Or you get the cred if that's the game you're playing. Because cred matters in certain circumstances and certain
To an extent, yes. Sometimes like when certain names are used in a book, they're only coming for that particular, like you said, they're coming for that cover, right? That doesn't necessarily mean they're coming for the series. So it's kind of like a temporary thing. It's a trade off in a way.
I was listening to somebody on eBay, right? And what they said is that about cards, and then I think it relates a little bit to this, and feel free to call me out on it if it doesn't, is that if you can only sell on eBay by running ads on eBay, you're not really selling on eBay. You're renting the site and you're renting the traffic.
Yeah.
So the idea here is that there's nothing wrong with going out and getting a name on your book. I
Mhm.
mean, I have nothing against any of these people. I love Keith Garvey's work. I love Mike DeBaffo's artwork. I love Courtney's work. I love Ariel Diaz. But if you can't sell your book without those names, you are legitly renting traffic. That is
Yeah,
what you are doing.
yeah.
And I'm sorry, everybody. You could say, I don't know anything about comics, but that's just ridiculous because that's an open statement that is crystal clear to me. And I don't really
And
care.
for me, like,
It's a hot take.
honestly,
It's a
yeah,
hot take.
yeah. No, it's true. And for me, like, I'm very thankful that my story is actually good because I can tell this because majority of my backers either back just the digital editions or the standard issues that with the Carlos standard, cover. So like they're coming for the story. They're not coming for the covers. Yes, I do get a bunch of cover people, but like it's not like they're not the majority of my audience.
So let's get into that too, because it relates to the graphic novel.
Hmm?
Is that obviously the graphic novel? I think only has two covers,
It
right?
does. Yeah, that's true.
So so it's got a cool $40 soft cover. I think it's a soft, right? Is
Yeah.
it?
Mhm.
So it's a soft trade paperback cover, and
Yeah.
then you got the, I guess, higher end die cut hardcover, right? It's a die cut hardcover, I think.
It's a die cut. It's got the faux leather like texture, and it's gonna have the gilded print and the gilded edges.
So I wanted to make sure I read the campaign right.
Mhm.
Obviously, I mean, once you get into that, I mean, it simplifies production to a degree. I mean, if you're only printing two types, I mean,
I mean, yeah, it's the production cost isn't any cheaper, but it does make it easy for choices.
it makes it easy for choices, and also you're not paying for variant artists per se per these covers. It's
Oh,
not
that's
like you
right.
have.
I've only paid for one cover to be produced for this because I was the one who designed the hardcover, so I'm the other cover artist.
You get where I'm going with this,
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
I'm purposely doing it because people are going to watch this interview, and I want to make sure that everybody doesn't think we're skipping 10 steps for a reason, because I don't know who's watching it, when they're watching, and what level they're at.
fair.
So I'm very mindful of my audience, especially because in the last like 4 days, I've gotten like 30 new subscribers. So, why I got 30 new subscribers, I have no idea. But actually, that's not true. I have a pretty good idea why it happened. But I bought them all. No, I started posting on TikTok and Instagram. But not the point here. That's a different discussion. Because where I'm going with this is that because I think a graphic novel isn't a collector's item. I don't think it's a collector's item. I think it's a graphic novel, and I think it's a story, more
Mhm.
story oriented than collector, to be honest. Because if you're buying a graphic novel at that point, I think you're reading it. If that makes any sense.
Oh,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I don't buy a graphic novel, put it on my shelf. It's gonna go up in value. It's not an investment. It's not I want to read it, right? Like
Mhm,
I go to Barnes and Noble and I pick up a graphic novel. I want to read the thing, right?
mhm.
It's not like I want to table it in my bookshelf, right?
Right.
So like, and that's why I think this is interesting. And I think the other thing is always that you had a higher end one of these. Somebody wants to read it too, but they also want it to be in their bookshelf, and they want I guess, a little bit of the collectible stuff with it, but not overly. I don't know how to
Yeah,
explain it.
I mean, hardcovers tend to be more premium than the soft covers in general, right? And for me, I like to have something a little bit extra because this is a collected edition, and for people who have come to get the single issues, I wanted something just a little bit more special that they could, a beautiful book piece that they could put like on their coffee table, right? You just sit there, and then people be like, "Oh, that's beautiful. Let me pick that up and look through this." You know what I mean?
Hmm. I have coffee table books. I like them. People ask me why I have a coffee table book of a watch, and well, G-Shock. Um, 40 years, man. It's such an interesting company. It's an awesome. It's like a die cut too.
Mhm.
It's sick. The die cut is of a watch on their 40. Oh, it's a
Nice.
great book. It's a
Hey, look,
great book.
even watch companies do die cuts.
40 years, man. It's pretty sick. It's a sick book. So much history in that book. But I digress because I like it. It looks awesome, right? And it's got like a pocket thing. It's a beautiful book, right? And
Mhm.
then my Justin Hampton book is sick too, which is just a bunch of posters of his musical career that also came in its own like slip. It's a sick book. It's not as cool as the Fables anniversary book, which came in a carton, a sick carton. It's like you open it up, it's like a treasure chest. It's sick. But I digress because I find this interesting, right? Because I like the idea of premium products. And I like also giving, the idea that because again, somebody might want something that's also going to withstand, I think, better. I think hardcovers typically withstand better.
It will. And what's nice too about the gilded edges on the pages is that it actually will help with dust and mildew and keep the book more pristine.
And to go further into this, because I am curious because about this is that it's a $40 for a trade paperback and 60 for the hard cover, and pricing is always complicated. I'll just state the thing that's the controversial part here is that it's tricky to figure out pricing because everything has gone up, and you obviously it's 4 issues in the book. I don't know the page count in the book, but I don't know exactly where prices are right now because all I know is that, and maybe it's me personally, is that I'm watching every penny in my life right now. I don't know. I think a lot of people in this country are. I think a lot of people are scared. But obviously your campaign is $5,000 over its goal.
So the way I priced it, so like for the soft cover, technically the actual retail price of that is 30, plus you're getting the $15 digital with it and free shipping. So you're technically getting, if you were to look at the retail value with shipping, with the digital and the soft cover, you're looking at a $51 retail value, right? So you're getting it for 40. So I'm saving people who are going to buy it later on on my website.
That's one way how to look at it.
That's exactly how I look at it.
No. Because this is where I always go, right? So obviously I buy and sell stuff all the time, right? I'm never to tell somebody how to run their business. But the issue that is that I look at how much it costs me to do something. I then go and look at cool. How do I make a little bit of money on this? I look at what other people and comparables are out there, and then I kind of figure out where I'm at with this, right? And like that's the whole thing of how I view things. And when things go up, naturally, I have to go up in my price. So when it used to be that what happened in my world, what's going to take place next year is that I would be buying football cards for $4, and they moved from one company from Panini to Topps, and they're going up by $1, and the amount that I could buy is going down by 5, which means that my prices have to go up because my expenses went up. But like I try to, because I know my clients can't afford certain things, right? So like this is always a struggle for me. That's why I asked the question is that, and I think it's a struggle for a lot of people saying, what can I afford? How do I afford it? What am I getting? And I think because I look at campaigns all the time, right? I'm like, man, you could price me out real quick with stuff like a cover A, $25. No, thank you.
Oh, but yeah, I agree. Like if you're a 24-page floppy issue, you should not be more than $16. Like I don't care who you are. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are like, I'm going to charge 15 plus another $10 for shipping. Well, no, I'm not. That's too much.
I think floppy issues. I think if you're charging me $10 for a digital, I think that's insane.
I agree. That $10 for a digital is a lot.
I think 5 for a digital is reasonable. I don't think, and the reason why I say that is that I think effort went into a digital, but you're not shipping me anything. Right. You're sending me a PDF, right? So you still put in work, you still paid for the art, but it's not costing you anything beyond the art that you paid for and to produce the product that you are also printing. Like I don't know how to, like I hate to say it and sound like I'm an asshole when I say it, and it sounds like I'm an asshole, but I think there's something to be said about that, right? Like it's there's a lot of things that get eliminated on expenditure when you send out a digital and just only the digital.
Right. But you also have to price like a collected edition accordingly as well. And that's why I chose the $15 for the 4 issues plus the 16 additional story pages, all the pinup and all that other stuff. So that's, again.
I get it. I was just curious because, again, pricing is always something that I'm cognizant of because I know my clients on eBay really, really well.
Mhm.
And when you start understanding, and I don't know how deep you go, but I do data dives because I know their locations, I know their addresses, and I have gone through the median income, especially when you're selling to a certain region. So I have about 50 clients who live. I'm not going to say where they live, but they live in a certain area, and it's the relative medium income is about 65,000 US. In that the house price is reflected, so I know these clients are not buying a $1,500 card. But then I had a client who legitly spent 5 grand with me. I looked at where he lived, and his house was 10 million.
I
So
mean,
so the point is that I looked at the medium income, and and this is how I come to pricing and figuring out stuff, and this is why I'm so fascinating about pricing, because it's something that just makes my brain churn. So again, I ask because I find it interesting how we figure this out, because it's so fucking complicated.
yeah, I mean, for me, like I keep a spreadsheet of all of my like prices and my everything, and that's a lot of it's like, and that's how I build out my tiers too. Is I base it on the prices, and also then I say, okay, I'm not going to charge this full amount because I feel like the market's not in that demand. You know what I mean? So that's why like I offer a lot of discounts, especially coming to Kickstarter, because I also feel like market value doesn't always reflect what people can pay. You know what I mean? And I want my backers to be happy. And sometimes, you just got to know where that bottom line is. And, like I said, that's why, how I've priced everything out. It's a 152-page book.
No. Again. I'm not here to tell you how to anybody run your business. Obviously, you're 5 grand over your goal, so you're obviously doing something right here. So it could be that my viewpoint is different, and that it's $40 for a graphic novel is a lot right now, especially for me. And then also, every penny in my world right now is being watched for a lot of reasons.
Which is fair. I mean, that's it is what it is. And I there's a lot of other campaigns that are also selling the same, if not for more. That's just
It's again. I'm also in a different situation, and I know a lot of other people are also in a complicated situation, because the world is right now a crazy fucking place, and there's a lot of fear in the market. Not just comics, not just comics. I mean, but at the same time, a lot of companies have also raised their prices on everything, because everything is more expensive, collectively. So on the other, I mean, including me on eBay.
I
I
mean,
used
and
to
that's the other thing too. Like as you said, the prices of everything have gone up, right? So for me to actually produce these books, then at the number I'm printing and to have them shipped, my actual goal was basically at almost 13, but I left it at 10 because I was willing to put in that extra money to make sure that if I got goal and people wanted the book, I was gonna, so right now it's great because I can do everything I want now and do all the enhancements where I'm at.
Fair enough. Again, I was just curious because, again, whenever you're starting to do stuff, and then let's just talk about the Kickstarter too, because obviously, I think this is your best Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken, or it's pretty close to it, right?
Best Kickstarter? I would say no. I would say this is probably my best trade paperback Kickstarter. It's definitely done better than the previous two, but I think also that's because now I have 3 books that they could buy.
So what this is my question, is that you've done, I think, what, 19 now?
I've done so, but on this account, I've done this will be my 18th. Not the 19th is another one that's in pre-launch. On a different account, I've done 3 Wolfpack pups, and then I've also done 3 backer kit launches. So I've done several. I'm in like the 20s of crowdfunding.
Because this is one of the better ones, I feel, because usually what I've witnessed from you, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that you've for the most part, you typically fund 10 pretty quickly within 2.5 weeks for the most part.
So I would say like I would say 2021, 2022, I would fund fairly quickly in the first couple days with 10. And then, so like I would say my best backer count campaign, which I almost reached 800 backers, was with Snowpaw, number one. And that one was like a $23,000 campaign. The best funding was Nightwolf number 6, I want to say, either 6 or 7. It was one of the two, but it was like 24 something.
So 15 is pretty good though, right? I mean, you know how many fucking people like you sound like oh, I failed. I did 15K.
I'm not saying I'm not. No, you were saying best. I'm saying no, it's not my best. It's doing it's my best trade. Yes, it's
pretty damn good. Now. It's doing pretty damn good. So
I think it's doing great. It has blown past my expectations because I expected to be about the same as Volume 1, Volume 2 of Nightwolf, and so it's already blown past that, and I'm very happy about that. And
let's talk about this. The reason why I'm asking this is that why do you think it's doing well? Because 10 is a great goal, and if you do 10 or you do 12, that's fantastic, right? Because if you raise $12,000 on crowdfunding, you're doing something right, and that's pretty damn good. I think most people would agree with that, right?
Yeah.
I think if you set your goal at 5,000 and you raise 7,000 on Kickstarter, you're doing pretty damn good, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with those numbers, right? But to go above it, and I mean, I'm not very good at percentages, but 5,000 is that? Obviously, you've reached your goal. That's like what 150%.
Yeah. So yeah, it's 150% of funds raised.
But I don't know what the percentage is over your goal. I'm not gonna.
It's so like
it's not 50% over it. It's maybe 25% or 30% over. I'm not. You're 33% above your goal essentially.
No, it would be 50% above because my goal was 10 and then it's at 15. So that 5 is half of the 10. So it's 15% above.
Fair enough. Maybe I'm miscalculating my numbers, and maybe I'm thinking of another position.
But really, yeah. Anyway,
but basically, is that you've pretty much you're $5,000 above your goal. But like, why do you think it's doing well? Because the thing is that if you expected it to do what Nightwolf did, and in times that are complicated, I don't think that's an understatement.
So I would say backer count wise and funding goal wise. Well, funding. So the Volume 2 of Nightwolf was 15. It was a little above 15. So it was probably like we're just shy of making where that ended, right? Backer count were about the same. Snowpaw has always been a higher backer count, but less funding in comparison. I think because with Nightwolf, it does have that kind of, there's still like a bad girl stuff to it, so I think that there was always a lot more of like collector ability with certain covers, whereas like Snowpaw, there's always been more people coming to the campaigns and funding her. And I think it's because it's a female werewolf as the main character, and it takes place, it's a time period piece, right? So it's not your everyday horror werewolf book, you know what I mean? Like, so there's a different appeal to it. There's something different about it. And I also think that because it's an actual finished story arc, and like you said, you can get that whole thing and you don't have to worry about like something else happening later. I mean, there's going to be more, but this particular story is done. You know what I mean?
No, I just want to know the secret sauce, because whenever somebody does 5,000 above their goal, right, it raises a few questions, right? So Jordan Belfort said this well. Talks about goals, right? If you say my goal is to get to 950 subscribers on YouTube, I'm right now at 922, and I said I want to get to 950 by the end of the year, right? And then I get to 20,000. The goal was unrealistic, right? I passed the goal, but the goal wasn't an accurate, fair goal, right? And then, so this is where I think this is really interesting, is that because 10,000, that goal I think is a realistic goal. But if you do 50,000 on this, that 10,000 goal wasn't a realistic goal. And I mean, you're not complaining, right? It's a good
No,
promise.
exactly. I originally had it set to 12,000. And the last minute before I went live, I changed it back to 10 because I was actually scared.
But it also raises questions is that if because the idea here also though is that if you set it to 12 and it didn't catch, right?
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with having a failed campaign because you could always relaunch it, always retool it. You can always change. I think you can always change and lower the goal if it didn't reach it and then reshoot it out. But
Yeah,
you're
you just have to start. You basically have to build the page all over again and relaunch, essentially.
it's not. I mean, you have all the files and all the stuff, and it would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it would take me probably about a day to get it all back up.
But the point I'm making is that because it's always better to fund, even if you're short some of the money, or you need 12, but you
Well,
funded
as
out.
long as you can cover it. That's
Yeah.
the thing right there. And I want everybody to be out there listening to this. If you put your goal at a very low just so that you can get it and you can't cover the rest, don't do that. Just fail. Because you'll be screwing yourself, and then you'll be one of those people who are screwing all the other backers out there and doing that non-fulfillment bullcrap.
So because it's really interesting because it's also an algorithm position too, right? And I mean, I think it's cool to say, I mean, all these people said they go up $500, and then they raise 50,000, and then they have like a 90,000x, fund rate.
And that's very few people. Like that's you say all these people, but that's like not even 1% of people on Kickstarter.
I found like five today that did that, and,
That are
and,
making 50,000.
not. I mean, maybe they do like 20,000. So like, I think Mike Shea does it. He's one who does it, and other people do it too. And I
But
understand
Mike
that.
Shea he's been doing this for a while, and he funds very often, and he has a lot of books to cover. So like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me that he funds at a higher level.
Yeah, no. What I was getting at is that I think it's really cool to say, oh, I got a 25%, 2,500, funding rate. I think it's really cool to say it, but you're speaking to the idea of what you're saying is that very few people can set their goal low at $100 or $500 and have that because he knows he's going to fund, and the people who do that know they're going to fund.
Yeah.
And what they're basically doing is that they know that they're just putting it low so that one backer does it, and then
Oh, yeah.
the product is good to go, and it's an algorithm game more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think the people who oftentimes who do that correctly are the ones who already have the book done. Then they go.
It's also a cheap trick. It's a cheap trick. If we're going to be really honest, it's a cheap industry trick, and there's nothing wrong with using them if you can do it.
No, right. For me, I'd rather have the accurate, and I'm the way, like, I'm like, okay, that's why I put it at 10, because I could cover the rest of what I needed if it came down to that. However, when it comes to like a regular single issue, because all that art has been paid up front and I need to recoup the cost, and also print and fulfill, like, I need to make sure that I do hit that 10K or the next issue is not going out. You know what I mean? So that's just how it is. Like for me, I would much rather have the money that I need that I can cover or that I can't cover than to set a low bar and have this fake percentage.
It's also debt ratio because I would imagine, and this is the way I view it, is that have you ever borrowed money from yourself knowing that other money's going to come in to cover it and that you could cover essentially the position on it?
Yeah,
Because
I pay for the art myself, make sure the book's done before launching, and I put that on a credit card.
there's an idea of debt IOUs, debt receipts, essentially a senior note. I mean, these are all financial terms.
Mhm.
This is not my job, by the way. I don't work in any of these sectors, but boy, would I run Wall Street if I did. Oh my God.
You're missing your calling.
Oh, I would love. I might run a hedge fund at some point. I would love to. Oh my god, I'd be the worst enemy of comics. Big, big, big AI fan. Big AI fan. Super big. It's made me a lot of money. It's gonna make me a lot more. I could give everybody the AI stock to buy, and it's not the one you think. There's two. There's two AI stocks you need to buy, and only two, and they'll make you really, really rich in the next 10 years. Coca-Cola and Disney.
Coca-Cola and
I
Disney.
didn't, you were not expecting those two to come out of my mouth. I could tell you that.
I mean, as AI, no.
They are both very, very, very AI centric companies. Coca-Cola, the CEO of Coca-Cola just stepped down, and they're looking for a new CEO who's AI driven, purposely. It's crazy. Coca-Cola is a big AI company, and it's wild. It's wild. And most people have no idea how and why they're an AI company, and they're brilliant. But anyway, that's not the point here. That's not the point. That's an aside. That's tomorrow night's conversation. But anyhow, I find it so interesting, right? Because again, but I agree. I agree. You should absolutely be asking for what you need. In fact, because again, I just want my books, everybody. If I back your project, I just want my fucking book in a timely fashion. That's really it. That's really it. As a consumer,
Mhm.
not even as an investor, not even as a flipper, I want to read your fucking book, and I want it in my hands if I back the physical copy. And I don't think that's so crazy. I don't.
I don't either.
Some people think that's a hot take. So go figure that out, right? I don't think it's a hot take. Just get me your fucking books and I'll be happy.
I mean, that's very, very valid. I mean, I don't know why that would be a hot take.
Because when I call people who don't deliver their books, they get upset.
Well,
Now,
of course, the people who aren't delivering get upset. How dare you call me on my BS?
it's very upsetting. And then they usually block me. They usually attack me. It's quite upsetting.
I
And it's
mean,
unnecessary.
most people who do are, victim blaming.
So it's all right. It's all right. My ego is very, very fragile. Um I have no problem openly admitting that my ego is fragile. But I digress here. Obviously, there's other stuff. You got some cool stretch goals here, some
Mhm.
extra stories in there. So that's cool. A lot of cool people are involved in that.
Mhm.
Um, many of them are obviously in comics and doing some cool stuff. And then, just a bunch of other stuff's going on with this. And then pretty much got the whole wolf pack, and you can pretty much get anything you want in this whole book. So if you missed anything from any of these campaigns, you could get it in this Kickstarter, right?
Mhm. And if not, you can get it in the backer kit afterwards.
I don't even know if there's anything else that like is not in this that you have, and I'm sure if somebody,
I don't put the single issues, the back issues on these. That's something, if you want them, you can get them during the fulfillment stage as an add-on in backer kit pledge manager.
fair enough, fair enough, and then obviously there's other stuff I want to talk to you about, like quantum physics, Earth Day, all that stuff. But obviously we spoke a lot about this, but I am curious is that where do you feel that the comics is going? And I want to break it into two positions. So obviously, creative wise, because I have an interesting view where I love manga, and I think manga and anime is some of the most creative entities out there. And I think they're testing ideas and throwing some batshit crazy ideas to the wall. And I
Mhm.
think some indie stuff is doing it. And I think webtoons is absolutely fascinating, right?
Mhm.
But I'm curious how you feel about creation because I'm in a weird place with the big two. I feel like Absolute Batman is a fresh of breath air in many ways, and I feel some of what Marvel's doing with some of the Spider-Man stuff is sort of a fresh of breath air. But I also feel like it's regurgitated, and I also feel to some degree that some of stuff in indie comics is also getting regurgitated a little bit too. And I'm curious how you feel about that because on the creation side, and then I'm also curious how you feel about the business side because we got a lot of questions going on with the big two, and in particular with DC Comics, with this whole Netflix, Warner Bros. Discovery, Paramount stuff going on. and what DC is going to look like after that merge with Paramount, Sky, and all that stuff. And so I'm just curious what you think, because I'm looking in and I'm a consumer, but I'm not in the business per se.
So as far as creation, I feel like it's always comes down to the creator, whether they're hired to rehash or beat a dead horse like Batman or Spider-Man. I mean, would the absolute Batman work if it wasn't Batman? Maybe. Would it get as much attention? No. However, I feel like the people who are so ingrained in the big two will buy any of their schlock, which is what it is. I mean, I stopped reading the big 2 years ago because I can't take any of it.
What was the last book you read from the big two?
Oh God.
Majorly.
I would say during that last Secret Wars that they had where they were combining the universes, at that point I was like, I'm done.
The last stuff I read from the big two was Blackest Night and Fear Itself. What was the last two major things I've read from it. And that was maybe 12 years ago, right?
Yeah, that's about around the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Secret Wars, I think, came after Fear Itself, maybe like 2 years, 3 years later for the most part.
Like, it was around the same time, yeah.
But like I thought Blackest Night was brilliant. I thought Fear Itself was fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was big stuff, and I read it in graphic novel form. I didn't even read it in single issues. And so maybe that's also why I have a difference of opinion here about that. And I read the first 6 issues of Absolute Batman. Enjoy it. Don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a fresh take, right? I don't think it's throwing paint on the house, right? I think it's replacing the windows, getting a new door, and installing a new AC unit, getting your flat screen TV on the wall. I think it's an upgrade, but I don't think it's still a pig. Your house, the structure of your house is still there. Mm-hmm. But at least we have a new door, new windows, and we have a TV to watch, and maybe we have better internet. That's how I describe Absolute Batman. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's not like year one Batman, and we're telling Batman's origin story for the 5th time.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry to interrupt, but continue.
No worries. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, again, the big two, I feel like they're just beating those dead horses and trying to change and make them work for them, but they're not so much in any long-term function. In indies, I feel like you're always going to have a mixed bag of people who are basically just putting out fan fiction versus actually telling a unique story. I mean, that's always been the case. I don't think that's something new. I think it's just a matter of sifting through and finding, what you like and what you are that's actually good. And again, and that's all in the eye of the beholder. Everybody has their own tastes. And as far as like business wise, I feel like I'm still kind of waiting on like the distribution thing to kind of like really solidify, because like as much as there's been new players kind of up in the air, and it's one of those things I'm keeping an eye on. But I don't know, like ever since like the fall of like Diamond, it's been kind of chaotic. Let me
ask you this. Let me ask you this, because I have a different take on the whole Diamond issue. People say, "Oh, I'm indie. I'm not in Diamond. I wasn't in distribution." It affects you.
Oh, it affected all of the comic shops. I mean, even my local was like he's like, before I used to just be able to go to Diamond and order everything. Like I could order toys, I could order comics, I could order graphic novels, I could order whatever, they had, right? Now he can't order toys because none of these other distribution hubs for comics has that. And he has like to go through several different channels, which he finds rather annoying. I mean, yeah, I know Diamond wasn't like the best business to work with, but like at least it was kind of like something for the comic shops that
it's the reason how I think it affects people is the following. And we're going to use 2 companies. Hopefully we're not going to get in trouble with either one of them, and I don't really care because I think we're going to tell the truth here. Zenoscope got hit pretty hard. So
Mhm.
their solution to the problem is that we're not going back to Diamond, and we don't really have distribution. So we're going to do all these projects that we were going to get into retail through Diamond, and we lost money with Diamond, and we're doing them on Kickstarter. So now Zenoscope is now doing Kickstarters. They're pushing them hard. Nothing wrong with that to fund issues, but they're now another competitor who is, I wouldn't say a super major competitor. And I like Zenoscope. I have a good relationship with them still, but like they're now another person to deal with who's doing $45,000 campaigns, and they're doing them every month. That affects every creator on Kickstarter because now they're doing something. Then what you have on the other side of this trade is Dynamite. Dynamite got hit really hard, and Dynamite got knocked out like Jake Paul got knocked out. So pretty hard, right? So the point I'm making is that, well, so now Dynamite every month they're doing a Kickstarter because this is how they're distributing their books to recoup some of the money they got screwed on and to go direct to consumer. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Perfectly fine, perfectly good business plan. But now if they do a Red Sonja book every other month and they're doing 250,000 and you're a fan of Dynamite, they're now a competitor, right? And if someone says, "Oh, but if somebody likes my books and they like Red Sonja, there's enough money to go around. There's only so much, right? And there's only so many eyeballs." And so that's how I view how this affects indie, is that it's not a distribution problem. It's all the big players who are fucked over on distribution and lost a lot of money are now on Kickstarter to reclaim some of the money they got screwed on until distribution solidifies. And they have a right to be there. Nobody's denying that. But that's how I view it, is that you
I,
now
I have the complete opposite view. I personally, I don't mind having these other comic book companies in Kickstarter because they're bringing their audience who might not necessarily have been on Kickstarter in. And as far as I'm concerned with that, it's they're still backing them, and maybe they might coming back, like, for example, like I have what, almost four, like I have 38% new backers on this campaign. Who knows? Maybe one of them is from them. Who knows? And my thing is, yes, there is a bit of like money stretching here and there for, as far as campaigns, but like people are gonna, if they want something bad enough, they're going to find a way to spend the money on it. And in a sense, yes, it may hurt, like maybe like they're, across the board when it was just like a bunch of indie guys on Kickstarter. Some of the
Oh, no. What I was gonna say to that is I just think it's overly aggressive. So I don't have a problem. Like my issue is Zenoscope on the issue is that they're running it every single fucking month, right? It's overly aggressive, right?
well, I mean, and that's how they are used to running, because they were used to distribution. That's how they're basically, they're set up
And
to
I
have
think
more things out.
and I think it's because I don't think Kickstarter can handle that aggression. I don't. I don't think Kickstarter was meant to handle that aggression. That's just my viewpoint. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I look at this. I look at financial models, and every one of these financial models on this level of aggression winds up going to shit. It does. If you go this aggressive, you burn capital fast, you burn through things, and you kill your audience. And you don't milk the cow; you kill the cow very, very fast.
Oh,
And,
yeah. I
and,
mean, like, especially if they're like doing these specialty things instead of just like the average retail stuff. Yes, I totally agree. Like if you're coming back every single month with these high end like things, that cost like $200 plus.
IDW is doing it. It's bad. I already know the end to the story. I know the ending. I know how this is going to end. I know how it's going to end before it even starts. It's not even a comic thing. I just know how it's going to end. It's tulips all over again, and it's NFTs all over again. I know exactly how this story ends. And boy, I'm if there's one good thing I do, and I'm not saying these stories. These stories are probably awesome. If it's like a $6 book, the story's great. The high end collectibles, I know how this is going to end on the market. They're all going to go down by 90% because they're producing so much of it every single month.
Well, and that's that if their price model crashes, then they have to suffer the consequence for it. As long as like the people
I would
weather the
like to
storm.
short it. I want to short it so badly. I really do. I really do. I will make so much money. I will make so much money on a short. Oh my God. If I could short Dynamite, oh my Lord, would I do it? I would find $1 billion and I would take $1 billion short on Dynamite. I guarantee you, in which that, and then I will go after I get my short money. I will go buy the New York Jets, and we will go win a dynasty. We will become the new dynasty, and they will rename the stadium in my honor. I will bring so much, but I got to find somebody who will take my short $1 billion short against Dynamite's business model. You laugh now. When you get Jet tickets, you will not be laughing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm not even a Jets fan. I'm a Mets fan and a Giants fan. So this is a real interesting. I just want to stick it to Gary V. That's what I really want to do. Because I know it'll kill his soul. Because I'm very upset. I didn't get my V friends this year. I didn't win my EQL. I'm very upset about it. It's a sensitive issue. Have you seen those things? They're adorable. But no. This is so interesting. Obviously, I'm joking about buying the Jets because that's a terrible investment. Buy a winning team like the Patriots, goddamn it. I mean, after all, the scandal will pass. I might be able to get a discount with this. I think I can negotiate a $500 million discount due to his scandal that just dropped. And I'll tell you exactly who's going to be my GM for the Patriots. Stephen A. Smith. Because he'll at least be honest. He will be a straight shooting GM.
I mean, it's always good to have that.
And then it'll be great. It'll be great. He'll come out in like a Knicks uniform. It'll be great. Coaching the Patriots on draft night. Anyway, I digress. I find that interesting though, because I don't think your point is wrong. I just don't agree with your point. So I don't think.
I mean, again, agree to disagree. You and I have different opinions on it. It is what it is. We both see things in different. I feel like you have a more of a pessimistic look on everything.
This is my whole thing, right? This is my whole thing. Is that I think rising tides raise ships of a kind. I think that the statement "rising tides raise all ships" is false, because it does not raise all ships. It raises ships that are solid. It raises ships that are primed to be raised and sail out. And it also raises ships that could withstand, choppy waters. And so if you're doing a princess book, and there's a wave that is promoting werewolves and vampires, your princess book is not going to benefit from that wave. I'm sorry, because the audience and the wave that is the audience is not come to the princess book if they want werewolves, vampires, and like you and Tom Hutchinson did a crossover with Ursula Minor and Nightwolf. Mm-hmm. That raised both your books, or ideally it was supposed to, right?
Well, we at least cross-pollinated our audiences anyway.
If your book was a detective dime shoot detective, it would not work with Ursula Minor, right? Because those two things just don't work right together, because they're different audiences.
Right.
But a book like Alpha Dogs, which is a dime shoot detective story, I think it's Alpha Dogs, or maybe it's another one of John Dexter's books. I forget which one it is.
Alpha Dogs is the one with the enhanced dogs.
It's not that one. Then it's his other book. Shoot. My name's just the name is slipping. I just know the Alpha Dog book, and I know his work. I just can't think of that other book, but not the point here. You get where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
Everybody got where I'm going with it, but I digress. No, I think your point has validity. But we could disagree, and we could end this in a duel. That I'll be Aaron Burr. You could be Hamilton. Hey, how do you think the West was won? After the duel, Aaron Burr was running around, bordering on the lines of insurrection in the West. Does anybody didn't know that? Fun history. That's the ending to a comic book I'm writing right now. It involves Aaron Burr. So, Aaron Burr is the worst vice president we've ever had, hands down. Bet people didn't know he was vice president, right?
Hey, I don't think a lot of people know history anymore. You know what's hilarious about you probably might be too young for this, but like there was a commercial with peanut butter back in the day, and it was like who was who killed Alexander Hamilton, and the guy had to call in the radio, but his mouth was full of peanut butter. He was like, he's like, oh, sorry, we can't understand you. Click.
Oh, that's great. That's that. Oh, I don't know that commercial.
No, and it showed like his entire house was like dedicated to Aaron Burr. It had like the bullet and all this, like in a case and everything.
I'm gonna have to go look this up. I would love an Aaron Burr.
I totally don't even remember what the commercial was about. but I do. But that's what anytime I hear Aaron Burr, like that's what my mind goes.
You know what that'd be a great commercial for FTX when FTX was around. That'd be great. Just for the record, I did not have any FTX. I want to make that crystal clear here. I'm a crypto guy and I had no FTX, so I was safe. But you know what it is? That's a comic book in the writing, man. That jail cell, you put P. Diddy, Sean, Sam Bankman-Fried, and R. Kelly all in the same cell block. That's a comic for you. And then, oh my God, I could write that thing. Get Blair White in that book. Oh my God, I would have a field day with that book. I would have a field day in a way that is not normal. But I digress. I am not interested in writing a comic right now because I just don't have the time or the patience or the money.
Yeah, those are things that you need.
I'm trying to buy a house in the next year. So no, thank you. And I'm trying to figure out if I have enough money to buy Burger King tomorrow. So or McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I am so glad we bought our house when the market was down. I would hate to have to buy a house now.
Oh my God, I gotta figure out my life. I'm so happy I invested a lot of my money in the stock market a long time ago because I'm killing it. But I digress here. But I mean, again, I think it's so interesting your viewpoint. I think your viewpoint's interesting. I don't necessarily agree with your viewpoint, but that's okay. But that's the point, is that we can have civil discussions still in this country. Hopefully we can. Some people don't think we can. So there we go right there. And then obviously, I mean, I'm just curious in which that, obviously the other thing that I'm curious about is that where do you think quantum physics are going? So all jokes aside, I do have some other questions though that are somewhat comic related. Mandalorian and Groot.
Oh my God.
Yay or nay? Yay or nay? No, you don't get an explanation. It's yay or nay.
Nay.
Okay. The Darth Maul series, yay or nay?
Nay.
Doctor Doom, yay or nay?
Nay.
The Mario movie.
Yay.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, that's streaming on Paramount in October.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay, then.
I mean, I know the cartoon and the other movie that flopped.
M. Night, what was it? M. Night Shyamalan, whatever his name is.
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Exactly. That's terrible. So. Well, why are you anti-Mandalorian though? Like that's a good question now. All
right, so I enjoyed The Mandalorian on, Disney Plus, whatever. But as a movie on its own now afterwards, I'm like, just put it back on Disney Plus. I'm not going to go to the movies to see something that like doesn't really. I didn't feel like The Mandalorian itself deserved to be in the theaters when they were, when it was a series. So like, I don't know, the whole the whole Disney taking over Star Wars and everything that I've watched from it, for the most part, has been meh. I enjoyed The Mandalorian. I enjoyed Boba Fett. However, would I go see a movie based on those? Probably not, especially after being burnt with the whole, the Skywalker ending, in the last three trilogy. And just
Oh
I
my
was
god, people hate how I describe Episode 8. I describe Episode 8 as we're stuck on a cruise ship.
but it's so
I don't think it's a wrong description.
no, but that's what I'm saying. It's true.
I don't have a problem per se with them doing stuff like that, but like I'm just looking at it, I'm like, man, this is just killing me here. Like I'm fine with us doing politics and other shit. Like Phantom Menace is a good example of that. Rewatching that later on, I'm like, okay, I have a better position of it versus
I didn't hate the prequels like a lot of people did. I hated the actor who played Anakin Skywalker in episode 2 and 3, but like I didn't hate the movies like most people did. It was, and then like, but again, I felt like we already knew what was going to happen, so that couldn't have been a surprise. Duh, and like when it comes to like for me, like I grew up watching the original three, episode 4, 5, and 6. I had this like Luke to me he was like one of my heroes, right? And then they took him and turned him into a pile of dump in the third, in 7, 8, and 9. And I was like, that's shit.
Yeah, it wasn't happy about that. Again, it was just didn't do it for me. I
Well,
agree.
plus, they should have just stuck with like the books afterwards, after the originals, like with Mara Jade and all that. Like that was such a better storyline.
It's whatever. They ruined Star Wars.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, so like them putting more stuff in the theaters is to me meh.
I mean, I like the Mandalorian. I like the Book of Boba Fett. What was it? Andor. Andor was fun.
I mean, they were fine series to watch. Leave them as series. Why are you putting it in the theaters? Nobody gives a shit about it.
It's whatever. It's whatever. I might go because they have trading cards, and I'm a trading card guy,
Yeah, my theater won't have a trading card for it.
It's weird, man. All like the AMC theaters have them while supplies last.
Yeah, we don't have an AMC around here. We just got smaller theaters.
Oh, you're not lucky.
I live in I was born and raised in a one stoplight town, sir. We don't have a lot around here.
Oh, you're deprived of greatness. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Must be tough.
Why do you think the internet has helped me with my comics? Being able to get it out because nobody around here is buying it.
Nobody's buying anything from me on eBay anyway either. So I feel you on that one. But I digress. Obviously, we've been speaking for an hour and a half, and I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, hit you up, disturb you, all that fun stuff? Prank phone call you, say, is Allie there? Who's Allie? You just got Allie hooped on that. Love that commercial. Makes me laugh every time for no good reason. But yeah, so where can people back the campaign, social media, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so you can go to snowpod.loneofcomics.com. That'll take you to that very long Kickstarter link where you can back the campaign. If you want to get in on the single issues, the back issues, you can go to loneofcomics.com, my online shop. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Loam of Comics and at Rob Multari.
Awesome. And then obviously it's my show, so I'm going to promote myself. Obviously, I am me, Andrew Davis. You can find me on Twitter, Pop Anime Comics, which is back up because they restored my account. Finally, my account was suspended and permanently suspended. And and that's a fun story. I decided to criticize the Mets for being god awful, and I have creative verbiage that I use. And apparently, Twitter is a fan of the New York Mets. So if you criticize me, well, hey, yeah, hey. I said the exact same thing to the Yankees, to the Celtics, to the Nuggets, to Oklahoma City, and to the New York Giants multiple times. No problem. Said it to the Yankees too. Said it to the Pirates. Oh my Lord. Said it to the Giants. No issues. No issues. It was like, not really happy with you, but okay. You know, say it to the New York Mets. They said it with violence. Violence. Which I thought was offensive. So I've only come to the conclusion that Twitter is obviously a fan of the New York Mets /X. So you could attack the Yankees all you want. That's fine. You get very creative. Just don't say to the Mets, they are the greatest team in the world. I want to make that crystal clear here. So, but I'm back. I'm back. So I'm very happy about this. And all I do is I praise the Mets now. So you know, let's go Mets, guys. Let's go Mets. This channel is Mets supporting all the way. If you don't want your account suspended on Twitter, just support the Mets no matter what they do. They could completely screw up and lose every single game for the rest of the season. Greatest team in the world. You hear that, Twitter? I hope you're listening, Elon, for that. Obviously, Instagram is Pop Anime Comics. Got a lot of cool stuff posting on Instagram. Facebook, Pop Anime Comics. Same deal, posting a lot of stuff there. TikTok. I'm posting a lot on TikTok lately. Got a lot of cool stuff. Got a lot of other stuff coming out there. YouTube, Pop Anime Comics. I release a lot of content every day, whether it's posts or short video formats. And I got some other stuff coming. I'm also doing a lot of interviews probably in the next 9 months. You know, I'm probably gonna do another 90 to 100 interviews this year, and there's some fun stuff coming. Some fun stuff's coming. So be on the lookout for that, everybody. And the best way how to do that is subscribe. It's free. And I cannot promise that you will get smarter by watching me. I cannot promise you that, but I can assure you that you will be entertained, at the least, at the minimum. So, and it's free. It's free. So no payment needed. Except you're gonna have to listen to advertisements of me and my sponsors. But no, it's still free for you, and you can actually use my sponsors that might help you save money. So there you go, right there, and pretty much that's it. And then I have an eBay store, and this is my eBay store. Everybody, look for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay at Pop Anime Comics Collectibles, and I carry a lot of stuff like comics. I carry stuff like cards. And I carry everything from, you know, $5 items all the way up to $1,500 plus items. So you name it, I carry it. And I carry stuff like this, right? So we got one of these, which is a 101. That Tarasi that was in my store for a while. I got stuff like this in my store, limited 25 Angel Reese's. She is a better player than Caitlin Clark in a lot of ways. And she is a rebound machine. So you want her on our team. She's no longer on the sky, though. She's on the dream because she's living it. So I got this right here, John Cena stuff. And then, you know, every once in a while, I do get stuff like this in my store, which are 101s. So you never know what's going to walk through my store, guys. You never know. And as I've been saying for a long time on eBay, first and foremost, go to my store if you're looking for this stuff and looking for collectibles. Search through it. If you find what you're looking for, awesome. Make me an offer or just buy it straight out. If you don't see what you're looking for, shoot me a message on eBay because I may have it. If I got it, I'll list it. Happy to help you out. Happy to cover you. And if I don't have it in my store and I don't carry, because I don't carry everything, I will find somebody or direct you to the right place because I got a lot of friends in the spaces who either have high-end comics or high-end cards or whatever you're looking for. And I'll send you to their direction perfectly so you can get what you want because I get it. It's hard to collect stuff and it's hard to track it down, and I get it. So that's my whole thing. And on that note, everybody, I'm going to let Rob have the final word.
Yeah. So if you guys like werewolf stories, especially female werewolves that take place in the 19th century Scotland, time period pieces, fantasy, werewolf horror / very entertaining stuff, go to snowpaw.lonewolfcomics.com.
I don't think I could have said that any better myself, and that is a wrap.